another layer. I'm in Photoshop. I'm not using my iPad, so it's a little bit of a rough outline right there. And so if you don't know me, I am Deborah Hatfield, and I was in the I was a part of the scientific study of this carte de visite. First and only alleged image of Joseph Smith be published in a scientific journal. And although the Larson locket is included in that, you can see by the title that they think it likely is a depiction of Joseph Smith. That he's just too bald. He's bald. He doesn't have beautiful hair. His hair is not pretty, and they said that his hair wasn't brushed forward. I'm like, it definitely is. How do you think it went over his ears like this? It's going over his ears, coming forward in a forward direction, and how this is kind of sticking out. That's even seen in Mausoley's paintings, which you can look at life drawings, the page right there, to see. Yeah, it's getting brushed forward like this, and some of it's sort of sticking out, but it's definitely not curly like the Larson daguerreotype. But sometimes there's a little bit of volume. You can see definitely the hair volume, and then how it creases down like that from his hat. That's definitely seen right there. It's creased down because he's always wearing a hat. He writes about it's a big deal with their culture, and in that time frame, protecting yourself from the sun was huge, so they always had hat head. But he didn't have curly hair in his son in 1910s, and my father did not have curly hair, so read the 1910 letter. But sometimes there's a side part. Sometimes it's just brushed forward and popped up, but it's really well receded back, which you do not see in the Larson daguerreotype. But you see, when I sketched the outline of his head, it does seem that this is more brushed forward, and that he's really trying to push this side of the hair because he's more bald on this side. So this man, I believe, is Joseph Smith. He's brushing his hair forward. It seems like the hair is coming forward. Possibly it's parted just because we have a lighter line right there. So that's a possible side part. It's less voluminous, but just how it, he has a little bit of volume, but it's not curly. And that seems very consistent with Maudsley's work, that, you'll see some volume. It's coming forward, especially here. Like there's a little bit of volume. It's got a slight wave from his hat, but some hair sticking out on the side. He's got some hairs that are just kind of going a little crazy at some point. So if we just keep scrolling down and look at, especially this, like you see that he's just got some hairs that are just sort of free, like that hair is kind of free, and but it's brushed forward, and it's going over his ears, and it is about this length, and there are no sideburns, right? So his hair, no sideburns. He has bushy eyebrows, you can see them, and he has eyelashes in his eyes. He has eyelashes in his eyes. Okay, so we're just going over all the hair, and it's not very long, but I'm just going to spend the remainder just on here. And you see it's just a little bit sticking out a little bit right there, but this is hair that's coming forward. It's not brushing back. Whereas the Larson daguerreotype, he's just grease and trying to tame this curly. So it's not that tight of a curl, but it's pretty tight. Like I have wavy hair that can sometimes get ringlets. His hair is curlier than that, the Larson daguerreotype, for sure. If Joseph grew his hair long, he might have a little bit of wave like me. But you see how thick this is. This is not someone who's bald. There's still, in this, I theorize, I think it's coming forward, but then there's also foxing right here. So it's maybe an illusion that is it just brushed over in that thick? But there's still hair right there. So now I'm just going to kind of show you what I've traced. Bring it there, take it away. Okay. And so if I selected that, So Photoshop, I have to put the cursor right there and superimpose this. Now there's camera distortion, like I talked about in other videos. So for it to kind of make any sense, I need to bring it down so that this matches. So then this matches pretty darn well right there. So once I bring that over, then you zoom in. You see how I was saying there's still some hair right there. There's still some hair right there. Right, there's still some hair or shadow, or it's more where that line is hitting. That's where like the scragglers are right now. This could be shadow, mean indent. Could that be that scar I see on the 3D model? This does look a little bit different than that one, but there, take it away. There, take it away. So if I just go back to here, this is actually lining up. So what we are seeing is that it is coming forward because this man is trying so hard to hide this. And so maybe this is a summer haircut. Guys, that's my theory. I've said for 6 years, because someone keeps bringing this up over. But I think Joseph would brush his hair forward, pop it up. I think he went ahead and just did the equivalent of Utahns being like, oh, I'm losing my hair, these Utah men, and just shaving it. But men didn't shave their hair back then. But so is you see right here, this Carter's picture, this is the hairline. This is even coming forward is what I'm seeing. So this is before it got damaged. And boy, I don't know, there seems like this hairline goes farther back. Maybe that's the left side. It's such a low quality photo right here, and it's inverted. I'm gonna do more research and see what else I can play with on Photoshop. But anyway, and this sort of follows the line of the plaster, ironically. And then there's the stragglers of the hair. But when we zoom in, you do see that there's some plaster right there, but there's no hair right there. No hair right there. And this really lines up right there. But what I want you to see is its thickness right there. You see how thick that is? Something really bad happened to this side of his face. Okay, you can just tell that. So there's that picture again showing. This was like at half opacity, actually, this screenshot. And I'll show you another profile. This. All right, you see there's a little bit more hair. But if he's overcompensating, I think is the right word. So very well, it's shaped this way because he's overcompensating on this side because he has less hair and possibly some major injury when he died. You see this just so much darker. Anyway, you just really look at the death mask. There's damage to his skin. There's a lot that happened, and it's hard to know what was post-mortem and not, but I'm very grateful that we at least have, like, why did I care? Okay, so, wow, look at this. Suddenly my screen moves. So this is our LDS Hiram. And the 6 doctors think that this is going and fallen apart. So the fact that those bones are back together, it's possible, they don't say this, but more likely it was an injury before he died. Not that one. So put a grid up right here. a lot of stuff up on here. Okay. Fun times with Debbie, right? There's that. We need the death mask back. Looking at the layers. There we go. So let's zoom in. And then I basically downloaded a picture of a grid. Doing a time jump right here because my computer is freezing and weird crap was happening. Excuse me for saying that word. The whole point is the hairline seems to come forward right there. So right there, it's hitting the right points. So if I make sure I have this selected, I'm gonna zoom in again and just show you all the places that it's hitting pretty well right there, because this is some scragglers, because he's bald back to there. That is really good right there. That's a really good fit. This is a really good fit. And this actually isn't that bad. It's just once we get over here that it starts to go off the rails. But it's actually really good right up to there. But if you look at the 3D, watch my previous video, all this area, like there's no hair right there. So you can't say that this doesn't match the hairline. And then what I'm going to do next is just keep that up and take everything else away. So we can look at the grid. Can we move that so I don't mess everything else up? We can. Okay. So I don't know if this will show this much. It's just, fun times with Debbie today. Just, again, I'm not a forensic scientist, but you can see the hairline comes about there, and then it just really starts to come really far forward. So this is lined up pretty much in the middle. You can see the shape of this, it's a little bit higher, this is lower. So that matches. So it does appear, having lined this up with a line right there. Okay, that's how it's thick. Like he's got some thick hair on top. It's receded about this much, but it's not bald. And on his right, our left, it seems like the hairline is actually a little bit farther back, which you can see on the death mask, a little bit farther forward. Right, so if we went ahead and just sketched the death mask itself, we'll take that away and do another layer. Which is what I did on my website. So, nope. We can choose blue. I don't know, blue is the great color, but. So we can see these are scragglers, but this is the plaster. Is this really hair? Here's the plaster line. But it's really going back right here, but there's a line right here, but this looks like probably where he's really losing his hair, which again, you can see in the artwork, but then it seems to come a little more forward, how it's lopsided like that. Okay. And it just sort of goes off right there, but when you look at it 3D, you can see right here, this side, this looks like hair, like that's a hairline, there's scalp hair. This side, it just sort of goes off and there's no hair. So the hairline comes more forward on this side goes back farther, but then this sort of comes a little bit more forward. So then if I take away the death mask, you can really, really see that. And then if we bring back 1840s Illinois man, let's see how exact it is and how different. So that's having superimposed it the best that we could. This is pretty dramatically farther forward. This is farther back. But you can see a similar thing happening in 1840s Illinois man's hairstyle. Now, because of photo distortion, like right here, it's really lining up. And then there's some scragglers. It almost seems like the scragglers you can see a little bit more far forward in 1840s Illinois man, looking at it this way, right? But it's lining up right there, right? Because there's that bald spot on the death mask. I'll just bring back the death mask again right here. Okay, so there's a death mask with everything on it sketched. So like this is possibly his hair right there. So then if you fill in his head and if things move slightly, is it really that far off? No, and it's more right here as things start to go off and go back to the hairline page. Okay. And so it used to go back even farther for whatever reason. So there's a little bit of a mystery, right?